श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे पुरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। क्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभः निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं चैव ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। द्वैपायनोष्टपुट निष्कृतम् अप्रमेयं पुण्यं पवित्रम् अथ पापहरं शिवं च यो भारतसमधिगच्छति वाच्यमानं किं तस्य पुष्करजलैरभिषेचनेन यो गोशतं कनकशङ्खमयं ददाति विप्राय वेदविष्ये च बहुश्रुताय एकां च भारतकथां शृणुयात् समग्रां तुल्यं फलं भवति तस्य च इति व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकदातं तपोनिधिम् व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मणदे वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। नमो धर्माय महते नमः कृष्णाय वेदसे ब्राह्मणेभ्यो नमस्कृत्य धर्मान् वक्ष्यामि शाश्वताम्। नमो भगवते तस्मै व्यासाय मिततेस्ते यस्य प्रसादात् वक्ष्यात् नारायणकथाम् इमाम्। Previously, we were looking as part of the Bhishma Parva. We were looking at uh, start of the Mahabharata war. So Arjuna asked Krishna to take his chariot between the two armies, and he views, and then he becomes very much grief-stricken, and he says, why should I kill these people? They are my relatives, friends, brothers, and all those things. And then Krishna explains him the reality of birth, death, and Atmajnana. He explains that, and he tells that he has to perform his karma, his duty. And after that, that delusion disappears, and then Arjuna prepares. Then both the armies are ready at that time. Yudhishthira walks over to Kauravas, and then he takes blessings of Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, Shalya, and others, all the elders. Right? So he takes blessings of them, and then he returns. So at that time, he says, if anybody want to switch, this is a battle that's going to start now. If anybody want to switch sides, they can do so. At that time, Yuyutsu walks over from Kauravas, he walks to Pandava's side. So I think we stopped last time at that point. We will continue from there today. The first day of the battle begins, and from now onwards, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Shalya Parva. So these, and then Sauptika Parva. So all these 5 chapters, 5 parvas, they all cover the war. Okay. So there is a lot of description of warfare, and it's very beautifully described in Mahabharata. Each how they shoot the arrows, how it pierces somebody, how it goes, and all those things very beautifully described. But we'll cover as much as we want. But the key focus will be again core themes and what happens in the battlefield. That's what I'm going to cover. Again, there will be a lot of characters from both sides. You will hear some of them you probably have heard briefly previously, but you will hear more in detail of those characters, who they are, and how they battle and what happens and things like that. One of the homework for everybody listening is probably now start building a list of on Pandava side, Kaurava side, who battles whom, and then who finally wins over the other one. Okay, so then end of this 5 parvas, you will have a list of, okay, if anyone says who killed whom, you know that list. Okay, so that's probably a homework. So we will start with the day 1 proceedings now. So listening to Dhritarashtra at that time, used to switching over sides. Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya. So again, you remember Sanjaya comes from Kurukshetra. He tells Dhritarashtra that Bhishma has been killed. Right. So now Dhritarashtra has asked him what has happened, how Bhishma was killed. Then Sanjay is narrating all those things, right? So Bhagavad Gita and all those things, Sanjay is narrated. Now Dhritarashtra continues asking questions. He said, when those two divisions, Pandavas and Kauravas, my sides and my enemies, were thus arranged there, who struck first? The Kurus or the Pandavas? Again, Dhritarashtra is trying to see whether Pandavas can be blamed for something. So he is looking here who struck first, whether the Kauravas or Pandavas. He's hoping that Pandavas struck first, so at least the blame will be on them. Even though he instigated this war, he drove this war and made all the preparations for this. He is looking for some sort of solace that his son did not start the war. So now Sanjay continues his narration. He says that those then what hearing what Duryodhana says, Duryodhana asks his army to start attacking. At that time, Dushasana advances his troops towards Bhishma, leading Bhishma, that troop. They head towards Pandavas. So then again on the other side, Bhima is leading that at the front of that force on the Pandava side. Then both armies making large, huge shouts. They come one another with one very close to one another, making all sort of noise with cow horns, drums, and all the tabors and various things. They make noise, the conch shells and everything. They come rushing each other, one another. The Pandavas and Kauravas, both of them, start uh, the battle at that time. Then in that sound again, it was huge sound. At that time, Bhima makes a huge roar, leading Pandava army. He makes a huge roar, and that roar scares everybody. It, even though so much noise coming from both the armies, Bhima's roar uh, crossed across everybody, and it was louder than anything else. And hearing that, both armies, both sides started shivering, and it was such a loud noise. And elephants and horses at that time ejected urine and excreta at that time in that scare of Bhima's roar. Then the brothers Duryodhana, Durmukha, Dushaha, Dushasana, Durmarshana, Vivingsati, Chitrasena, and Vikarna, Purumitra, Jaya, Bhoja, and Somadattas and Bhurishrava, all of them started releasing a lot of arrows towards Pandavas, and they start fighting Pandavas, Pandava army. On the other side, Draupadi's sons, five of them, and then Abhimanyu, Subhadra's son Abhimanyu, Nakula, Sahadeva, Drishtadyumna, they all rush towards Kauravas. Then with their very sharp arrows, they started killing Kaurava army. The encounter that took place again between those two armies is very frightful encounter that took place. Both sides, they did not look back. They continued chasing one another. The Drona's Shishyas on both sides, they made their arrows make sure that they hit the other mark on the other side wherever they are shooting. So none of those arrows missed their targets. So it was Sanjay describes that is a all everybody witnessing that one that encounter. They all many kings stood there and started watching that encounter that took place between the two armies. And the two armies again with elephants, horses, chariots, and everything. They covered the entire battlefield, and the dust coming from that roared up to sun, and it covered the entire sky, creating darkness. Then Yudhishthira commanded his armies to uh, attack Bhishma and his army, and in that army on the other side, even though all those people were there, Bhishma was shining because he was leading and he was shining among all of them. So that morning of that terrible battle, when it started, again, loud shouts came from both sides, Kurus and Srinjayas. Again, you will hear here many times in this battlefield. Pandava side is either called Srinjayas because most of the army majority is led by Drupada's side. right? Supported by Drupada's side. That's why it's called Srinjaya's army. So Kurus and Srinjayas, you will hear. Dhritarashtra's means Duryodhana's army. Srinjayas or Pandavas, all this you will hear on the Pandava side, Yudhishthira's side. So both sides were fighting like that. The bowstrings, they're stretching and then releasing the army, horses neighing, and then elephants making noise when they're hit by the iron hooks. All those things making huge noise in that battlefield. Then Bhishma himself taking a terrible, very strong bow. He goes against Arjuna, and Arjuna again taking up his Gandiva. He rushes against Bhishma. So both armies again come together one another. Satyaki goes against Kritavarma on the Kaurava side. Both of them made hurt each other. Kritavarma, Satyaki injures Kritavarma, Kritavarma injures Satyaki, and both of them making loud shouts weakened each other. And then on the other side, Abhimanyu goes against Brihatbala, and that king of Koshala was his flag was cut off, and then Abhimanyu kills. He kills Abhimanyu's charioteer and cuts off Abhimanyu's flag. Then Abhimanyu becomes very angry and he kills Brihatbala's charioteer. Uh, he kills with sharp arrows, 9 sharp arrows. He cuts off the Brihatbala's flag, and with one more arrow, he cuts off his protector. So again, you will hear these things. Every king or a Maharati or Rati Maharati Atiritis, they all supported on both sides, okay, by the next level people. Okay, so if you have to attack, because if something is going in that direction, the people who are on the sides, they will try to protect that main person. So if you have to attack somebody, normally you have to defeat the people on the sides, whether it's the foot soldiers or the one on the horseback or the elephants or even the other chariot riders on the sides. You have to defeat them as well. And then when the battle is happening, they do not stand. I mean, normally in the TV serials and things, you will see that people standing one place and then releasing the arrows, right? So all this Mahabharata, Ramayana, whatever it is you see, it's a standing position. They keep shooting. But what we see here is the chariot continuously keeps moving so that they avoid the arrows coming from the other side. Okay, so they continuously keeps moving and that's how they avoid. And then while moving, they release those arrows towards the enemy, whoever they're fighting with. So like this here, Abhimanyu kills with one arrow his protectors of his chariot who is protecting on this side. So then again, both of them continue to battle like that. Bhima, he goes battle against Duryodhana. Both of them very proud of their strength. They start fighting each other. Remember again, Bhima remembering all the injuries and the hurt that Duryodhana has caused. He goes against them. They again covered each other in that battlefield with large number of arrows, and both of them aware of all the modes of warfare. They uh, fought very hard each other. Dushasana, he goes against Nakula. They again struck each other. Nakula then very laughing, he cuts off the arrows of Dushasana and then he cuts off his flag and his Dushasana's bow, and then with 25 arrows, he cuts his all his arrows released by Dushasana. Then Dushasana again taking another set of arrows, he kills Nakula's horses and also cuts off Nakula's flag. So again, you will hear cutting off standard. So that is the flag. Okay, Dwaja. They are again. This is significant. It's even though it does not hurt physically, it does a couple of things. So the standard when the flag when it is flying, the your supporters realize that you are there. Okay, so if any trouble, it's easy for them to find out that you are there. Also, it's a kind of cutting off standard is a kind of shaming somebody. Okay, so if your flag is dropped off, that means you're not able to protect your own flag. So it's a kind of shame. So that's why you will see cutting off the flag. You will hear about cutting off the flag pole itself. You will see about horses, the chariot, whatever the horses that's drawing those killed, so that chariot cannot move any further. So as I said earlier, chariot keeps moving, right? So when its horses are killed, you can't move anymore. The other thing you will see is the charioteer himself getting killed. Okay, so when he is killed, horses will go wherever they want. Okay, so you will be drawn out of this battlefield. So that you will see, and then the warrior himself is getting stuck. So he will be pierced with arrows or whatever, mace, or he's stuck with mace or whatever. So you'll see those things. So these are the different things. Again, you will hear this in every encounter that comes across. You will hear these things. So each of them releasing the arrows and striking each other. Okay. So then again, Durmukha goes against here. Durmukha goes against Sahadeva. Again, both of them, terrible encounter takes place between them. Sahadeva kills Durmukha's charioteer with great sharp arrows, and then uh, they are each of them trying to attack each other. They go again one more time. So one more thing you remember is need to know is these people, they always have kind of standby backup person as well. Okay, so that's why they are called Maharathis or Atirathis. That means if one chariot breaks down or one charioteer dies or something, they will jump onto the another one. There is going to be ready another backup. Okay, so that's how the battle continues as well. So it is not that once their charioteer dies or horses die, they are stuck and they don't have another option. So then we look at Yudhishthira in facing against Shalya, the king of Madra. So he goes against him, and Yudhishthira, the Madra king, he cuts off Yudhishthira's bow. Then Yudhishthira taking up another bow from, he starts releasing arrows towards Madra. Saying that when very angry, he says that wait, wait, and he starts shooting at Shalya. Then Drishtadyumna goes against Drona. So Drona again in that angrily he cuts off all the bows and arrows of Drishtadyumna. Drishtadyumna again taking another bow. He releases a very terrible, strong arrow towards Drona. Drona cuts off that arrow and then again pierces Drishtadyumna again with many arrows. Shankar, he goes against Somadatta's son Bhurishrava's. Terrible again, and both of them are very equal in their fight. They fight one another. Shankar is again Virata's son. So they fight each other. Drishtaketu goes against Balika. Uh, Chedi king Drishtaketu, he fights with Balika. They again have with 9 arrows, he pierces Balika, and then they he goes against with Balika again goes against Drishtaketu. Gatotkaja, Bhima's son, he goes against Rakshasa Alambusha. So on the both sides have Rakshasas. Gatotkaja on Bhima's son, and then on Duryodhana's side, Alambusha is there. So both of them go against one another. Both of them release large number of arrows and start fighting each other. Shikandini goes against Drona's son Ashwatthama. So both of them again fight with large number of arrows, one another hurting each other. Bhagadatta goes against Virata, and similarly we see against Krupacharya going against Brihatkshatra. So Krupacharya again releases a huge number of arrows against Brihatkshatra, and he kills off the horses and charioteer, and then Brihatkshatra again fights back against Kripacharya. So Drupada goes against Jayadratha. Vikarna goes against Sutasoma, Bhima's son, Draupadi's son, and then Susharman goes against Chekitana. Shakuni goes against Prativindya. Yudhishthira's son by Draupadi, and Shvetakarman goes against Sudakshina, and then Iravan goes against Shritayus or Shritaketa. So Iravan is Arjuna's son. Is again we'll see later in, I think in Drona Parva we'll see about him, a huge section on Iravan fighting. So Iravan goes against Shweta is Vinda Aravinda, the princess of Avanti. They go against Kunti Bhoja on Pandava's side. Keka brothers, princess, they go against Gandhara Shakuni and Gandhara princess Shakuni's sons. And then Veerabahu, Dhritarashtra's son, Veerabahu goes against Uttara. Uttara again fights back. So Uttara, we know from Virata Parva, right? So he's the one who had battle and who ran away from that. Then Arjuna supported him. But in this battle, what we hear about is all the great things that Virata Uttara does. So there is no scare in this Uttara we see here in Bhishma Parva. So then the Chedi king goes against Uluka. Uluka is Shakuni's son. We saw about Uluka back in Virata Parva, right? Sorry, Udyoga Parva, where Uluka comes as a messenger, Duryodhana's messenger. So he's Shakuni's son. He comes, faces against Chedis. Like this, both sides, they have battle one another. Thousands of battle soldiers on foot, they fight each other. Those on the horseback, they fight each other. So this conflict that's taking place, the fight between these two armies, all the rishis, dev rishis, siddhas, charanas, devatas, everybody started watching that from the sky. And Sanjaya then explains the battle that's taking place. He says, I will describe now the combats of hundreds and thousands of foot soldiers. Foot soldiers again going after one another. They did not recognize their brothers or uncles or sister sons or maternal uncles or whoever it is, sister sons, whoever friends or anybody, because again, all these people are related or known each other one another, right? But in this battlefield, they did not recognize. They just saw the other person as an enemy and they went against one another. From then also horse riders went against one another. The elephants riders, the elephants going in the angry elephants with run temples. They are huge elephants going one another. They making huge noise with attacked one another. These elephants again pierced by swords, lances, arrows, and things like that. They made a huge noise, and also at some point when their trunks and other things cut off, they start running all over, killing on both sides. The elephants, when their riders are killed and they themselves injured, they have no control, so they started running and killing each other. Similarly, horsemen, they started fighting each other, running from going from one place to another. They started rushing towards one another and killing another with arrows and lances and things like that. They started striking each other. Some horsemen rode fast and then attacked those on the other side in the chariots. So they faced them and had a battle with them. And then they also had battle with arrows and they fell. Some horses fell, and then like this, the battle continues. On both sides, the warriors did not look back. Both of them started fighting each other without any hesitation, and they did not look for any relatives or friendship or anything among them. They fought one another like that. So then, in that battle again, in that huge battle that is taking place, Bhishma again began to strike Pandavas, Pandavas army in huge numbers. He, with his flag, uh, with 5 stars, with Palmyra, he comes there in that battle, and he starts striking Pandava army in huge numbers, started killing them. So then, that again in that morning, that battle continues where Durmukha, Kritavarman, Krupa, Shalya, Vingsati, and Duryodhana, all of them approach Bhishma, and they start protecting Bhishma because Bhishma was leading and killing all the warriors, soldiers, horsemen, elephants, everything on Pandava side. So these people, Durmukha, Kritavarman, Kripa, Shalya, Vingsati, and Duryodhana, they start protecting Bhishma. Protecting means they come and make the way for Bhishma on the sides so that people don't come and disturb Bhishma, so Bhishma can go ahead and attack them. So Bhishma starts attacking elephants, horses, and everything, and all of them get killed. At that time, Abhimanyu, with great anger, he comes rushes towards Bhishma and faces Bhishma. So he strikes Bhishma's flag. Uh, he strikes Bhishma with great number of arrows. Then he strikes Kritavarman with one arrow, Shalya with five, and then he again cuts off the bowstring of the flag of his enemy Bhishma, and then with very broad-headed arrows, he cuts off the head of Durmukha's charioteer. Then with another arrow, he cuts off the bowstring of Kripa. Then also with many arrows, they fight each other, and then Abhimanyu again single-handedly faces all of them, all those warriors, and then he faces Bhishma. He aims at all of them, and then he fights all of them. So everybody looking at that thinks that Arjuna himself is fighting uh, with Gandiva. The way Abhimanyu was stretching his bow, everybody thought it is Arjuna. He was fighting like that. Then Bhishma rushing towards him. He starts, releases 9 arrows, and those arrows cut off the flag of Abhimanyu. And then Bhishma also struck Abhimanyu's charioteer. Kritavarman, Kripa, Shalya, all of them started piercing Abhimanyu, but all of them fighting, Abhimanyu did not make any ground backwards. So he stood there like a mountain, and then he faced all of them. Then again, in that arrow, or in that battle, he cut off Bhishma's bow, and then he made a huge shout after facing Bhishma like that. Then Bhishma again with arrows, he pierced Abhimanyu, and then so Abhimanyu once again cut off with arrows Bhishma's bow. Then Bhishma taking then again that Abhimanyu taking off with 9 arrows, he cut off the flag of Bhishma. Then all the people there again applauded Abhimanyu's strength and what he has done to Bhishma. Looking at him, Abhimanyu facing Bhishma like that, Bhima, who was leading there, he became very happy and he sent a huge shout, happiness. And then again, Bhishma started looking at this. Bhishma starts fighting with celestial weapons against Abhimanyu. So Bhishma fights like that. Then Abhimanyu's protection, because Abhimanyu was single-handedly fighting all those warriors. On the Pandava side, Virata's son Uttara, Drishtadyumna, Bhima, and Keka brothers and Satyaki, all of them come towards Abhimanyu to support him in that battle against all those warriors. As they were all fighting upon Bhishma, the huge conflict takes place with Bhishma again. He pierces Satyaki with Drishtadyumna with 3 arrows, Satyaki with 10. Then again he cuts off the standards of the flag of Bhima. So like this, Bhishma fights all of them, all the warriors on the Pandava side, alone on facing on his side. So he's resists all of them. Then Bhima again pierces Bhishma with 3 arrows, Kripa with 1, and Kritavarman with 8 arrows. At that time, Uttara, Virata's son, he is on an elephant he rushes towards Shalya. Shalya taking uh, uh, another Shalya at that time again rushes towards Uttara. The elephant of Uttara, which is in great anger, rushes towards Shalya's car and it attacks Shalya's car. It kills the 4 horses of Shalya's car in one go. Then Shalya taking up, staying on that chariot, who's where the horses have been already killed. He releases a huge uh, arrow towards made of iron towards Uttara, and it that arrow pierces, cuts through the coat, the protective coat Uttara had, and then it goes through Uttara's body, and then it deprived of his senses. Uttara falls from that elephant's neck. He falls from that elephant. Then Shelley again taking up his sword, jumping down from his chariot, he cuts off the large trunk of that elephant, and that elephant also falls down and dies. So, like this, Uttara and the first morning of the battle, Uttara was killed by Shalya. So, this is the first one. You can, if anybody recording who did what, you can make a note here. Uttara is first one to go. At least very killed, but among the chariot riders, Rathis, Maharathis, so Uttara is the first one to go. Shalya kills him in that battlefield in the first morning. Then Shalya again, he because his chariot, his horses were killed, he jumps onto Kritavarma's chariot. So, seeing Uttara killed by Shalya and staying with Kritavarma, Virata's other son, Shweta, becomes very angry. And he goes against Shalya in that battlefield. Angrily, he rushes towards Shalya. So, seeing him coming on an elephant again, 7 warriors on Kaurava's side surrounded him on all the sides. So they all try to protect Shalya from Shweta. So those 7 warriors on Kaurava's sides were Brihatbala, Jayasena, Rukmarata, Vinda, Anuvinda of Avanti, and Sudakshina of Kamboja, and Jayadratha of Sindhu. So these come and there to protect Shalya from Shweta. So then the battle takes place between Shweta and these 7 warriors plus Shalya. So, but again, Shweta does not get scared. He, with very 7 broad-headed arrows, he fights them. He cuts the bows of those people, and then he uh, he takes again. They all take again a bow, and then again Shweta. They all shoot arrows at Shweta, and then Shweta again cuts off those uh, arrows that's coming towards him. So those warriors again on the Kaurava side with their large arrows and their bows been cut off by Shweta. With anger, they release again more and more arrows towards Shweta. Those arrows coming towards Shweta, they were very blazing, but Shweta again cut off those arrows. So then taking up another arrow, very strong arrow, Rukmarata was shot by Shweta. Then that again, that arrow penetrates Rukmarata's body, and Rukmarata, with that injury, he sits down on his chariot, and then he faints in that. So, looking at him fainting, his charioteer then immediately takes him away from that battlefield. Then taking up 6 other arrows, Shweta cuts off standard tops of all the 6 enemies that's remaining there. Then he pierces the steeds and charioteers of them. Then with 6 arrows, he he proceeds towards Shalya's, he releases towards Shalya's chariot. So, like that, Shweta fights all those warriors and then he quickly proceeds towards Shalya. Then all the people on the Kaurava side, they become worried. They started shouting, oh, 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 they were very worried that Shalya is going to be killed by Shweta in this battle because he was proceeding like that. Then uh, Duryodhana with Bhishma, they sent many troops towards Shweta's car, Shweta's chariot, so that he can be stopped, and they rescued Shalya from that battle from the hands of Shweta at that time. So then again, a huge battle continued between the uh, both the sides, and there is a lot of mix up on who is battling whom because everybody is trying to protect one another when like that. So Abhimanyu and Bhima and Satyaki, Khegas, Virata, Drishtadyumna, the with Chedi troops, they all went against Bhishma at that time in the battle. So all of them went again. So Dhritarashtra, listening to this, asks Sanjaya, when Shweta proceeded towards Shalya's chariot, what did all the Kauravas and Pandavas do? What did Bhishma do? Tell me all this. I want to know all these things. Then Sanjaya continues his narration. He says that when all those hundreds and thousands of Kshatriyas, all of them were placing Shweta in front, they were all fighting like that. At that time, uh, uh, Duryodhana uh, with Yudhishthira with Shikandini, they went near Shweta to help him and to rescue, support him. And then at that time, Bhishma taking coming forward, he starts fighting all of them. So then Bhishma made many chariots and many horses, elephants, all of that without any warriors. So he cut off their heads and he shown in that battlefield, killing all the Pandavas coming in front of him. So with anger, he starts continuously kills hundreds of warriors on the Pandavas side, and Bhishma continues to create huge damage to Pandavas side on this battle. So then, from like that, when he was fighting like that, uh, Shweta continues against him. Shweta again fights back on the, and he creates a great slaughter of Kurus in that battle. So he cuts off with many arrows, hundreds and hundreds of Kuru warriors on that time, charioteer riders, those one, the the warriors on the chariots, the chariots himself, all of them lying on the ground, they all damaged and destroyed by Shweta through his arrows. So Sanjay says that he himself and everybody, from the fear of Shweta, they start abandoning Bhishma and left the battle and started retreating from that battlefield. But when all of them were retreating, Bhishma alone stood there fighting Shweta and the Pandava warriors. He stood there fighting all of them, unmovable. He did not retreat at all, even though Shweta and Pandavas were attacking like that. Bhishma stood there all alone facing the Pandavas led by Shweta. So then Bhishma and Shweta continue their battle. Bhishma releases large number of arrows, and Shweta as well. They fight each other, one another. Bhishma, Shweta, they both with large number of arrows cut one another, injures one another, and then in that battle they continue. We will look at what happens to Shweta in next time, and then how the first day battle continues. We'll look at that next time.